Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of a 10th Inning Talk. I'm your girl April, also known as All About April 3 on all social media platforms. And I am here to deliver the latest and greatest in both softball and baseball news. Before we hop into today's episode, which I am extremely ecstatic about, I want to make sure to remind you to make sure that you check out all things Black Baseball mixtape. That includes In the Booth with my guy, Flowbo Boys, who is still uploading some fantastic things onto YouTube. Make sure you finish your breakfast with cheats every morning on Instagram, TikTok now. I finally convinced him to get on TikTok, and also Facebook. And then there are a plethora of articles for you to be able to check out. There are also comics of the Black Baseball mixtape. And don't forget about the sponsors. I actually just got my scorecards in to attend a game within the next couple of weeks with the season ending. But let's go on ahead and hop into the 10th inning. And I want to make sure that I announce our guest because today I am so excited to welcome the Natola Hawthorne to the 10th inning. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for the invite. I'm excited.
So, for those of you who don't know, she is the first Black woman to umpire a Division 1 baseball game. And I will say, as a history teacher, whenever I heard that, I like through the moon. And I'm gonna even take it a step further because you probably gonna be in my Black history lesson in February with the kids because they need to know that these things are still happening, and it's important for us to be able to celebrate it. But when Cheats brought this up to me, I just knew that this was something that I really, really wanted to have a moment to be able to discuss with you as a person who loves history, but also as a person who loves this game. So, my first question to you is going to be, what inspired you to become an umpire?
Funny story. I was watching a slow pitch softball game and everyone was tearing the umpires apart. You know how
Mm.
they fuss and argue about the calls. And I just looked at it as a way to bring integrity back to the game. And I said, I might as well be on the side that makes a little money.
I love it because we know that umpires, they get torn apart. And it doesn't matter if it's an umpire, if it's a referee, it is literally one of the hardest jobs out there.
Absolutely.
So for you to be able to be like, I see this, but I want to add something of value that I think would be an addition to this. That's amazing to be able to hear, but it also is a great sign of the kind of character that you're bringing to this particular area and field of expertise. So I also have to ask you, did you play softball or baseball, fast or slow pitch?
Neither.
What?
Right? I know, right? So it actually, I started as a football official,
Okay.
and right next door to the football field was a baseball diamond.
Okay.
And as I'm officiating, I hear something say, "You belong over here." So I'm looking around like, did anybody else hear that? Right? Nobody said anything. So then it says it again. Now, this time I'm like, I know I heard it. And I go to my referee, my white hat, and I'm like, did you hear that? Hear what? Okay, I know I'm not going crazy. So I shared with him what I heard. And he was like, over there is a baseball field, Natola. I said, I know. And he was like, yeah, no. And I was like, look, I know I'm not going crazy and I know I heard it. And he was like, well, go on back over there so we can finish this game and we'll talk about it later. And the third time that I heard it, I just was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this game, but I must see what this is about because I'm distinctively hearing that I belong over there. And that was Georgia State University's baseball field.
Oh,
And I'll
wow.
tell you, 4 years later, I actually had a rec ball game on that field. So I was just like, yo, this is probably where I'm supposed to be.
How full circle is that for you to hear, like, this is where you're supposed to be, and that is actually your very first moment? That
It's
is,
surreal.
oh my gosh. That's just so exciting to be able to see and to hear. So, since you didn't play, like, did you have an affinity for the sport? Like, did you like it? Did you watch it?
I watched it a lot with my grandfather. I am a huge Chicago Whites fan, Chicago White Sox. So,
Okay.
Harold Baines and just watching him play the game was amazing. Jermaine died. I'm still waiting on a jersey from him. So if anybody hears me,
I love it. Well, so there are some guys with the black baseball media. They are huge White Sox fans as well. So, and I know that they tune in to this show. So I know that they are going to be so happy to be able to see this and to see that there is another fan out there who just happens to also be an umpire. I think that's great. Now, I do have to ask you, is there a big difference in being an umpire and being a referee since you have done some football games as well?
yes. First of all, do not call an umpire a referee. We get totally offended. So let's start there. Um, a lot in the mechanics and the study of the game
Mhm.
because there's so many moving parts and you have a pre-pitch, you have a during the pitch, during the play, then you have a post pitch thought, and all of that happens probably in less than 3 seconds. All right, so I'm thinking every scenario that can happen because of the situation that's on the field in the moment, and by the way the outfielders have shifted or the way the pitcher has delayed his
Mhm.
pitch. All of this is going through my mind before the ball is even thrown. In football, I'm just watching my keys.
Wow.
All right. So I don't have to think about what everybody else may possibly do. I just have to be specifically in this area and watch that. So
That
totally different.
is, I never considered that particular thing. I mean, I already knew not to call y'all referees, which is why I made the distinction when I asked the question. But when you decided that you were going to listen to the voice that was calling you, how did the training go? Like, was it something that was difficult? Did it make you question, okay, am I listening to the right voice or is this something else going on?
Absolutely. I first started in rec ball. That's okay,
Mhm.
right? Because nobody really knows what they're doing on that level, sad to say. But when I got to the high school level and I started being trained by collegiate and former pro umpires, let's just say there were many a days when I would cry
Oh
and they would be
no.
like, yo, there's no crying in baseball. So take those 30 seconds, get it out, and then you get back out there. And I'm just like, okay, I guess, right? So every year we go to camps. I go to at least 5 camps a year. I go to clinics. I train. We have to take tests. We have to take quizzes. You have to pass with a 90 in
What?
order to do the postseason. So it's not like they're just throwing anybody out there.
Right.
We're evaluated throughout the season. So it's a lot that goes into being able to say that I umpire college or high school baseball.
Wow. And I love that level of accountability because I feel like that is something as fans that we don't really get to see that part. You just see people making calls and possibly going home, but knowing that there is a whole system where you're not just going out there doing that. Like you have to literally be prepared and also remain up to date with a lot of the rules and things that are changing, which leads me to what do you think about a lot of these rules that are changing? Like, I know that that adds a different layer to the game, but the fact that in college there's now a pitch clock. So, how does that add to what you do as an umpire?
I love the pitch clock. It started with us in college first before we
Right.
went, right? It speeds up the pace of the game, which is
Hmm.
great, which will bring people back out to watch the game. Have you ever been on the plate for a 4 hour game? It's not fun. And you have to stay focused with every pitch. So with the pitch clock, it kind of cuts the game down some, and it gives us more years to be able to do this in the long run. So I totally appreciate that rule. Some of the other ones, not so much, but I'll take I'll take this one.
And that's interesting because, the pitch clock is still a very controversial thing for some people. Some people wonder if it actually affects the arm of some of the pitchers. Some people love how slow the game is because it is somewhat cerebral as well. But to hear you give a completely different perspective, I love that because it is something that I consider it from a fan perspective. I never consider what it means for you who has to partake as an umpire. What is a rule where you're kind of like, I don't know about this one? Can you answer that?
Look, I'll say this. We're not so free to eject anyone on like first offenses.
Okay, that's interesting because, during the LSU versus Coastal Carolina World Series game, and which, by the way, I'm an LSU girly, there were a lot of conversations online in regards to that particular play. And I took the side of the umpire in that situation because I watched him give the warning multiple times. I
Mhm.
watched the man come out of the dugout, and you already know once you leave that dugout that it's
That's a
either you
rule. You
going, you
cannot
going.
leave
That
your
is the rule,
position.
right?
Absolutely.
So I understand that a lot of people felt emotional because of the kind of game it was. But we also have to remember that the rules are in place to protect the integrity of the game. And that is the job of the umpire ultimately to do that. So it's good to be able to hear that, like, even something like that, as much as people criticized it, it was the right call because that is in the rule book. He had to follow it in that particular way.
And it's known. These are things, as the rules come about every year, because they change every 2 years, something changes. There's coaches' meetings, and they're introduced to the rules. So it's not as if they're not familiar. Um, People just want to see how far they can go.
Mm,
We're in the moment, it's a big stage. Let
right.
me see if I can push you.
Yes.
We never want to be on that side of the fence, right? We're here to protect the integrity of the game, as you said. And I'm only there to enforce the rules. I don't create them or make them. I'm there to enforce them when you decide that you don't want to live by them. That's it. So if you do what you're supposed to do, I'll never have to interject myself into it. That's how I look at it.
That's a great point that you don't make them, you're just following
I
them.
just enforce them. That's it.
Right. You and unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't go the way that you may like them to go.
Correct.
So with rules, I have to ask you, robo umps are on their way. How do you think that's going to impact the game?
It's going to take away the human side.
Mm,
Um, One, computers glitch, right? They don't factor in everything. I was just having this conversation. They don't factor in every element that we use. Say,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, the umpire that I use to call a pitch, a ball, or a strike.
Right.
The robo umpire is never going to be able to take account of how the catcher is set up
Mm-hmm.
or where they're set up
Mm-hmm.
or how they receive the ball,
Mm-hmm.
right? They just have this box
Right.
that they use calculations to make. Every batter is not 6 feet,
Right.
right? But you're going to make it average. What happens when I get a 5-5 batter or a 6-11 batter? The strike zone changes with every batter because of height and definition, not because of the zone itself. And if people realize it and know the true definition of a strike zone, then they'll understand how we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think enough people take account of that. I told a friend of mine the other day, I'm going to get a t-shirt made and it's going to say POV, when you come to the game with too much emotion and not enough rule knowledge.
Ooh, interesting. And now that you say that, I was watching Walker Bueller the other day talk about how he is not a fan of robo umps.
Mhm.
And he was discussing some of the things that you were, including the fact that we know that catchers, they frame these pitches for them. And so that element is going to be, that human element is going to be completely taken out of it because of the computer.
Right.
So, and of course, humans, we have a natural eye for certain things. And I also believe that in some aspects, some people are looking for perfection, and you're just not going to get it whether it's a computer or a human being. But I definitely am interested to see exactly how this is going to come because people think that they want it, but once you get it, that's going to lead to a whole new different thing. And now we have to consider what is that going to look like for batting averages? What is that going to
Mhm.
look for pitching ERAs? What is it going to look for pitching awards and so forth? So that definitely is something that has crossed my mind, but I'm glad to see that there are pitchers who are saying, I'm not a fan of it, but to hear the human side of it is also wonderful.
Yes, it makes the game.
So I have to say, as a history teacher, I just love to celebrate historical moments. I also find it interesting that in 2025, we are still having the first of so many different things. How does it feel for you to be the first Black woman or the first woman to actually umpire a Division One game?
I was nervous.
Why were you nervous?
Oh my gosh, because it didn't just represent me.
Mm,
I took my entire community
mm,
with me.
yes.
And I knew that if I didn't succeed,
Mm,
then I may hinder or delay the next one that looks like me.
yes.
And I couldn't afford to do that in that moment on that stage. So I'll say I went to a clinic again last week, and it was a crew chief camp where we were, of course, learning leadership, but it was an amazing camp because it also touched the human side, not just umpiring.
Mhm.
And one thing that I took away from there, he said the difference between anxiety and excitement is fear. It's the same emotions with that added piece. So I won't say that I was anxious. I was excited once I touched the field. I left all that anxiety behind me because I knew that I was chosen for a reason,
Mhm.
not just a season, because I'm still here.
That's right.
Still almost every field I touch is becoming historic because it's never been done by a Black woman, whether it's been done by another woman or not. So that in itself gave me the energy and the thrill. And once the national anthem was sung, let's go, guys. I'm, I'm ready to do this. And it was amazing that not only was I doing that, but there was the Alabama A&M
Yes.
softball team there. And when I walked off the field, those ladies ran to me, hugged me, thanked me, cried with me, shared the moment, and that I will never forget. Never.
I love that because for those of you who don't know, the very first game was Alabama A&M versus Stillman. And to think that you went onto the field with these feelings and these thoughts about what this will mean, not just for you, but for your community of Black women who may come behind you, to have that level of affirmation is so powerful. And it was immediate. It wasn't something that was delayed. It was something that was immediate. So it leads me back to the voice that you heard.
Mm,
And that voice literally leading you into these moments to carry us and to carry you to lead us. Because I even saw a picture of you at Rickwood, and I got to experience Rickwood this summer for the first time. And for anyone who hasn't gone, it's an indescribable feeling.
mhm.
Once you step onto the field, it is extremely humbling, but it is also, you just know, like your ancestors were there. And they're
April,
like the
this is
spirit. It is
what?
there. And I thank you for being able to do it and for you to have these moments. But to even listen to you still have the same feeling that you had on that day is just so powerful.
It's indescribable. As you said, Rickwood, I had that moment because I was the plate umpire that day.
Hmm.
And Gary saw that I was having a moment, right? And for him to take the time to stand there and see, he allowed me to be in the moment,
I love
first of
that.
all, right? And then as my eyes are welling up with tears as I'm watching him and Andrew Jones and Cece Sabathia,
Ah,
I'm just like, oh my gosh, right? And Dusty Baker. So all of that hit me at one time like, you're about to call the game of your life. And he saw it. And before the tears fell, he asked if he could hug me.
oh.
And I said, yes, that's probably what I need right now. Right. So he hugged me and then he backed up and he said, now go do what we know you can do.
I know that's
And
right.
I had never met him before in life. But for him to give me that positive energy
Hmm.
and belief in me, listen, I was going out there to do it. And when I struck out Ryan Howard for a pitch, knuckle curve that he watched, I was just like, hey, I'm supposed to be here.
I love it. I listen, when I first stepped onto the field, I remember Cheats looking and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I need a moment. Like
Mhm,
I just need a moment because I don't, it is very surreal.
mhm.
And your very first time stepping onto it, there I can't describe the feeling. Like it's one thing for you to walk up in there, but that particular moment, knowing that they're there, and then we go to the bleachers and I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, I know our people were here because there's shade everywhere. And I but that was really, really beautiful. And I'm happy that you got to experience that moment. But I have to ask you, how did it come about? Like, how were you even able, or how were you even selected to do the Alabama A&M and Stillman game?
My assigner. But it all started, I was professionally trained by the MLB. I
Mm-hmm.
went to school for 6 weeks in
Okay.
Vero Beach. And I had that same feeling because we were at Dodger Town. That's where our training was. So who was there? Jackie himself. So to
Wow.
know that he played where I was being trained, it just made it mean so much more, standing on his shoulders. So from there, I was went and tried out for college, got selected. I'm gonna say my assigner knew what he was doing because it was the end of Black History Month
Mhm.
on the cusp of Women's Month. So it was February
Ooh.
28th leading into March 1st, which would have been the celebration of women. So I think he did it intentionally, and it just worked out.
I love that. Oh, that was definitely intentional because it was
Mhm.
like your moment doesn't end. We really get two.
Correct. Correct.
We really
Correct.
get 2 months. And I love the fact that it just seems like this whole everything around what you're doing is just divinely orchestrated. Like you're meant to be in this moment. And I love the fact that even though you initially had some anxieties, you have completely embraced the role and are doing it with fidelity. You are doing it with integrity. And you are also making the community proud because the excitement, like I haven't stopped smiling since we've even started this interview, but it is just so wonderful to know that there are people out there who have dreams or who are obedient to certain things that come their way, and you embrace it and then you do it well. And so, for young girls or young women out there who aspire to maybe play softball, now it could be women's baseball with that coming
Yes.
about.
Yes.
There are no limits to what we can do.
Absolutely.
And I love the fact that all of this is not just a possibility, it's a moment for us to be able to take and truly fall right into that.
Yes.
So, I do have to ask you as well. We know that do you aspire to do more than just high school and college? Do you aspire to do Major League?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Okay. Why
um, I I started this journey late
not?
in my
Mhm.
life, right? Um, and had I found it in my 20s, maybe.
Okay.
But I believe that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in this time and space. And talking with my children about it, they're like, Mom, had you done this earlier, I don't think you would have embraced it and appreciated it as much as you are now. And the passion that you show with it probably would have been dimmed or come in a different light. You probably would have been a little more arrogant, right? So now you're humbly embracing everything that's being presented to you. And as you're doing it, my goal is to pave the way for the next one. I'm not supposed to knock down every door, but
Right.
if I can kick it in a little bit and then allow someone else to cross the threshold, then I think I've done what I was ordained to do. So I am okay being Natola Hawthorne in the college ranks.
Yes, and listen, I have no problem with that because I love college baseball and I love
Yes.
college softball. They love to call me the college softball baseball expert of the Black Baseball Mixtape, and I completely embrace it. And I think that that is a point where we also see people like
Yes.
us in that realm because even for me doing this, it's an anomaly. But just
Yes.
because it's an anomaly doesn't mean that it always has to be one.
That is correct.
So,
Correct.
what what's the most challenging part about being an umpire?
For me or an umpire period?
How about both for you and
Okay,
an
so
umpire?
for me, um, it's a lonely road.
Mm,
I was telling some of the guys last week. You see how you guys get to go in your locker room and y'all can talk to each other. You can go over plays, laugh and joke. Once we walk off the field, I go to a locker room that's by myself, right? Left to my own thoughts. So one of the guys is like, well, girl, look, once you get dressed, I can come in there and we can talk. And I'm like, no, I get it,
Not the
right?
same.
I'm just saying it's those moments that are kind of tough because we're on the road 14 weeks
Hmm.
out of the baseball season. We're on the road Tuesday, Wednesday for midweeks. So there aren't many other females that get to make this journey with me. The rules, the mechanics, those are all things that you can learn if you take the time to do it. It's just the companionship, I think, is the hardest part. That's probably another reason why I would not have wanted to do the MLB because family is second,
Hmm.
right? It's grind, grind, grind. And everybody knows that I am family oriented. Everything that I've done in baseball, a family member has been there. So I would lose my mind if my family couldn't be a part of my journey. So that. And then as far as an umpire, being able to maintain a neutral mindset and control your emotions,
Mm.
even when folk try to take you there,
Yeah.
right? Because we have to be the voice of reason, even if they're 1000% wrong. And not just
Mhm.
coaches, but fans and
Yes.
players. It comes from all, it comes from everywhere. And we still have to maintain our integrity and neutral mindset and make sure that everything that we're doing is kosher.
And this actually leads into my next question because how do you even deal with the pressure and criticism from coaches, players, fans, especially in this age of social media? It seems as if people have gotten a bit more comfortable and confident in saying with whatever, and many times it's without consequence. And so, as you previously mentioned, you're there to enforce the rules. You're not making them, but people don't particularly see it that way.
I pray before every game. I don't know if that works for others, but for me, it does because my number one thought is one, let me represent him because I may be the only Jesus they see.
Right.
And I never want to be held accountable for someone not getting that opportunity.
I love that.
Um, then from there, you have to have thick skin. You cannot rubber ears. You can't do any of that. I thank my family for playing the dozens since I was two. We joan on each other our entire
Right.
lives. So when you hear it from the outside, people who really, I don't want to say they don't matter, but people who aren't in your intimate circle and who really don't know you, it shouldn't bother you. Now we're human. I'm not going to say that we don't ever turn and look and want to see who made the comment. But once you remember that we're all there to do a job,
Mhm.
one of my umpire friends says, we're actors. So once we step on the field, it's action,
Yes.
right? So you go into your mode, and then at the end of the game, it's cut, and then you can be you again. So I try to remember those things before I walk out there.
And of course, praying always gives you a sense of peace before you do anything. So you're
Absolutely.
walking out there with the mindset of Christ before you even take the field.
Absolutely.
So those other things, they're just going to be secondary to you actually doing what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
What's your process for making close calls or judgment decisions? Because you're literally in that moment. How does your brain work to make the right call?
You will hear umpires say timing. process. So we have what we call proper use of eyes, especially at first, those bang bangs,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of times people think we're looking at this call. Not so much.
Mm-hmm.
We're listening because the sound of the glove is different than the thud of a foot.
Interesting.
So my eyes are on the bag to see when the foot touches. And if I hear the pop of the glove before the thud of the foot, then I know what I'm calling.
I never considered that because there are times when I'm watching and I see the go out and I'm like, how did you catch that? Because like clearly he's out. We see it from the replay, but you caught that. That is absolutely amazing. But
They
the
train
way,
us. We close our eyes and take plays at first. And
wow,
they're like, what happened first? And then we'll have to say it. Right? So that begins to make you hear the distinct sound and know the difference.
that is absolutely amazing. And it just once again, I'm learning so much from you because from a player and a fan's perspective, hearing you describe it from your perspective, it also gives a whole new element of respect of what y'all do because your job is obviously difficult, but the way that you are trained, the way that you have to process each particular play is amazing. Which also leads me to ask, where is your favorite place to umpire on the field? Because I already know, like most people, whenever you hear, oh, they're the home plate umpire this game, like that's like king queen position. But my dad and I, when we were having the conversation, he was like, I don't know if that's where I would want to be. And I'm like, that's interesting. So, what about you? Where's your favorite place to umpire?
Give me the plate.
Really? Tell me why.
Because I control the flow of the game. I
Oh,
set the tone. It's gonna go how I go.
okay.
Yeah. So from the first pitch, I'm making the decision for the game.
Now, what about because you talked about first base and how they train you? What about between first, second, and third? Do you have a preference in those areas as well?
So if we're in a three umpire system,
Mhm.
give me third.
Really?
Third never gets plays. No.
You do have
We're
you
in
get
the
paid the same
middle.
though, so
Right. But because we call it the rabbit in the three-person system, all you're really doing is running in and running back out. So I get my exercise for the day and I don't have to go to the gym. So there you go.
what system do you typically work in? Is it three? Is it more? Is it less?
It's three on the collegiate level, 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
High school is usually two.
Okay.
Mhm.
That is very interesting. But I love the fact, of course, we all love home plate because you definitely get to control the way of the game and all of that other lovely stuff. Now, is there ever a time where you've made a call and you regret it? I was watching Last Diaz umpire, and I never forgot this. He made a call and initially apologized to the player. It's like my bad, my bad. It was Christian Campbell of the Boston Red Sox, and I was like, okay, I'm here for that level of accountability. But is there ever a time where you're like, maybe this could have gone another way?
I had a play in Indianapolis this season where they had replay. And I knew when I banged him out instantly, he was safe. And before they did this, I already knew, like, yep. I just start shaking my head, like, yep. And so my crew chief was like, so, and I was like, it was my timing, dude. It was my timing. So when they went in and came back, they didn't even have to tell me. I was like, he's safe. I know he's safe. But again, mechanics. I was
Right.
ready to bang him out, anticipating the play instead of watching and processing the play.
Mm.
So timing.
I love that. So we talked about you having your historical moment, and then a few weeks ago, Jen Powell became the first woman to umpire a Major League Baseball game. And one of the stories, or some of the things that were going around, was the fact that the NBA and the NFL, they've already had this occur for a while. But I want to live in the past, even though I love history. How does it feel to see this continual progression? And what do you continue to look forward to as an umpire who happens to be a woman? Because I don't want to lead with, oh my gosh, she's a woman umpire. I feel like you're a person who's doing your job and you just happen to be a woman.
It was great to watch her out there. I actually was at the game that she worked the plate.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm. I owed it to myself as well as her. She was one of my instructors in pro school.
Wow.
So I had to be there to see her moment, the amount of time that she invested to get there. I believe she deserved it. And I'm excited that she's there, and she's still been working games.
Mm-hmm.
Just where this is going to lead and take other women is just beyond measure.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I just want to keep touching places that have never seen us. As
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned, Indianapolis. So I was the first woman to do the GLVC League. I was the first woman to do the SAC, the SAA, the SIAC. So it goes on and on and on. I don't want that to be where it ends. I need it to be, okay, there was Natola, but now there's 20 more
Right.
that's coming. So my final goal, I train now, starting in the elementary school, girls. Under
Wow.
my business, she calls it all. It started with I wanted to take former athletes and take them off the field and move them, transition them into umpiring. Same game, different assignment was my motto. Um, Not so much the older ones have gravitated to it, but my younger ones, like my 10, 12-year-old girls,
Mm-hmm.
they're ready to go. So I'm training them not only on field work, but scorekeeping. You
Right.
don't have to be an umpire
Right.
to be a part of the game. Um, these girls making this money that I wish I made at 10 and 12
Yes.
per game. They're going home with a pocket full of money. So that's my goal, to show others that there's more to this. There's so much more. Unfortunately, school's not for everyone, but
Right.
you can make a living the
Mhm.
non-conventional way. You know how much college umpires make on the Division 1 level, Power Four? They make some people's salary all year in 14 weeks. I'll
What?
tell you, one of my mentors put up at our clinic last week. He works in the ACC, which is not
Right.
the one that pays the most. The SEC does.
We know.
He made $82,000 in 14 weeks of baseball. Yeah, make that make sense.
And that many times, for those of you who don't know, this is not their everyday careers either.
Is not. Is not. It's a total of maybe 3, 6, 9 hours on the weekend and 3, 6 hours during the week. You add that up, $82,000.
Wow. That is incredible. I never considered that. But I have skills, so I'm gonna have to consider
Come on,
that
come
because
on, come on.
I know the game. And
Exactly.
after watching the Women's College World Series, I definitely know Appendix G. I can add that to
There you go.
my resume.
I was the appendix G.
So that is absolutely incredible. And I love the fact that you stated how, yes, everybody is not going to go to college. And it's important for kids young to be able to see the different careers that are available to them. We can always preach teachers, doctors, lawyers, and what have you, but there are other careers that are necessary for the world to still work the way that it does. We saw that during COVID, but there are
Mhm.
also things, and this is one of the things that I try to teach my students, that even if you don't play in the NFL, even if you don't play that particular sport, you can still be around the sport and make money. So I never considered bookkeeping, even though I was somebody who I did books. And it's not hard to be able to learn them. I just didn't. I remember one of the, when I did it, when I lived in Dallas, the coach was like, "You should go do this for college because they gonna pay you." And I'm like, "Ah," I don't know. He was like, "No, they will pay you." And I was doing the books and running the clocks at the time. So that's interesting to know. But here we are adding another job description on. So to everyone listening, if you're ready to shift into something else, you have a moment to be able to do that. But it is so inspiring to know that Jen actually was one of your trainers. Never made that connection. That is wow. Oh, wow. So do you only do baseball? Do you do softball?
So I only do collegiate baseball.
Okay.
I do high school softball and five other sports.
Okay.
So yeah, but my number one, of course, is baseball.
Oh, I know baseball is that girl, but with the movement of softball right now, we have the Athletes Unlimited Softball League that had its fantastic inaugural season. We saw what the Women's College World Series has done, and I have to ask you as a an umpire, like what do you think about this natural progression of women's sports, in particular softball, and then of course
And
women's baseball?
it's about time. It is long overdue. I mean, think about it. We had a league of our own.
Yes.
So if we could do it back then with limited resources, why not now? I mean, we have the mental fortitude, the technology. Let us get out there and play. That's it. Let us just do it, right? So I'm totally excited about where women in sports is going. There's no turning back now, y'all. The door is off the hinges. We're coming through full force. Like it or not, here we come. So I'm excited.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. The door is open and we're walking through now. I think
We are.
prior we were hesitant because of
Mhm.
some of the roadblocks and obstacles that existed, but some of those things are no longer there. And so now that the opportunity is presenting itself, we have no choice but to be able to show the world. And what's so beautiful about all of this is that the world wants it too. For so long, we didn't realize that. I remember having a discussion about women's rights, and people didn't realize that this is also something people wanted. They just weren't given the opportunity to see it on the stage that we now have it.
Correct. Correct.
So we are now going to go into a segment that I love called 10 to the end. I am going to ask you about 10 questions related to baseball, softball, and just give me your honest answer about it.
Okay.
Are you ready? All
Ready.
right. Number one, add a player to the Hall of Fame who currently is not in Cooperstown.
Barry Bonds.
Of course. I'm with you on that one.
Yes.
Why you say Barry?
Oh my gosh, just his hitting alone. It was immaculate. No
Right.
one could hit like him. Oh my gosh, yes. And I got to meet him at Rickwood last year. But anyway, go ahead.
What?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 yes. Him and Ken Griffey. Real excited. Okay. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my gosh. I can't imagine because you said you met Gary, and I'm guessing you met Gary Sheffield.
Yes.
And I met Gary, and I'm not gonna lie, I was completely stunted because I was like, it's Gary Sheffield. Like,
I know. I
they
know.
are literally walking legends of our community, and it's amazing. And a lot of people forget. They love Barry, but they forget like Pittsburgh Barry.
Yes.
Listen,
Mhm. Mhm.
they not ready for Pittsburgh Barry, and they're comparing him. And I saw some stats of Juan Soto today, and I'm like, no, we need to bring back Pittsburgh Barry because he wasn't just
Absolutely.
fresh with the bat; he was fresh with that glove too.
Hmm. Hmm.
What city do you think should have a baseball team, especially with the expansion efforts that are going on?
Um, who doesn't have one?
I can help you out with some of the ones that they're considering.
Who are they thinking?
So let's see, Nashville, Orlando, Raleigh, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Portland, Oregon. They're also talking about San Antonio, Texas.
Let's go with Nashville.
Nashville? Why do you say Nashville?
They're centrally
Oh,
located.
okay.
Hmm.
It's a good point. And I'm sure with where you are that
Hmm.
that would be a great place to think about.
Hmm.
Besides baseball, softball, and I know you umpire others, what is your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Really?
Yes, I played in high school and a little bit in college. So yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What position did you play?
Forward.
Forward, okay. And what college did you go to?
Oakwood University. So it was amazing to make history in my town where I went to school. But anyway, yes, I did.
Once again, this is all divinely orchestrated. I don't know if you can tell, but the way that it's happened and the way you've described it is just such a beautiful thing. Number four, what is your favorite ballpark food?
Popcorn.
Really?
Yes.
Have you had it at a certain ballpark where it was just like
Truest. Hmm.
I haven't been there yet, so I can't judge. But when I make my way to Truist, since you've said that,
Get
I'm
the
definitely
popcorn.
going to try it.
Popcorn.
What is your favorite baseball moment?
Oh, meeting Ken Griffey and having a full-fledged conversation with him last year. And he knew who I was.
What?
So, quick story. CC Sabathia tried to introduce, mind you, CC Sabathia is introducing me. Okay.
Right.
CC is introducing me to Ken, like, hey, this is Natola Hawthorne, the first uh, black female to umpire in Division One. Ken says, I know of her. I said, okay, that's all I got. Okay. And we like had a full-fledged conversation about baseball and how he was thrilled that I was doing the umpiring thing, keep it up, and just yeah, he doesn't know that I really loved watching him as a Reds.
Wow. And first off, you really are just like, oh yeah, Ken Griffey, two Hall of Famers.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. Right, right, right. Like CC pitched to me, right? I called balls and strikes that came from his hand. Who else can say that? Who else can?
right. That is so incredible. But
Yes.
yes, Cincinnati Griffey is definitely a moment.
Mhm.
If you had a walk-up song, what would it be?
Oh, look at you. Oh, I'm coming out. I want the world to know.
I love it. And perfect. Perfect for this entire moment. Perfect. So you mentioned popcorn being great at Truist, but I have to know, what is your favorite ballpark to visit or your most anticipated ballpark to visit?
My favorite, of course, is home. Old Comiskey.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, a lot of memories. What is it now? I don't even know what they call it now. They've changed it so many times.
Right, I can't keep up.
But yeah, that would be the one for me. Always home.
Okay. What is your favorite baseball jersey that does not belong to your favorite team?
Oh, my Indianapolis Clowns.
Really?
They were the only team that had three women to play for them in the Negro League. So I
That
rep them to the fullest.
I love it. And especially now seeing that you talk about Indianapolis and so forth. So that is a great point to be able to make. And I need to add that to my collection as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So, who are your top three players in baseball currently?
Hmm, let's see. So you know what the crazy thing is? As an umpire, I don't even watch the game
What?
because it's so hard. I'm
With
out there
traveling and
watching
stuff?
the umpires, right? Trying to learn from them. So I would not be telling the truth if I tried to make up some players. So I have to be honest. I'm watching the umpires. Ask me who's my favorite umpires to watch, and I got you.
Okay, so who's your favorite umpires to watch?
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to go with Adrian,
Okay.
Mal,
Okay.
of course, and then dun, 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 Jen.
Of course, I knew you were gonna say Jen. We can't have a list without Jen. So, and I love that. Now, my last question of this particular interview. What are you most looking forward to within the season or the next one within the sport?
Having a female partner, whether high school or collegiate. I just want to see another one of me out there.
I love that. I talked about this on a podcast episode, how this it's interesting for me to be a Black woman discussing baseball and softball, but sometimes it does get lonely because it is just me. Now I have guys who are willing to talk with me about it, but sometimes I do want to sit and talk to a close woman about what I am feeling, how I'm seeing the perspective. But another thing that I have realized, especially being on the podcast, is how valuable a woman's voice is to this space because we are different kinds of creatures. Our brains work a little differently than men. And so our perspective is just as important as theirs. And it adds a different element to the game
That's
because most people you'll hear them say, "Oh, you like the game," and then they start asking you questions, which don't quiz me. I do that already. Don't quiz me. But to hear people literally like on the podcast value what I have to say, it's very humbling, but it still can be lonely when it's just me in that particular space. And I will say this too, watching Jen have that press conference and the umpire, I can't remember his name, discussing how important it was for her to have this moment and what it meant for his daughters. I'm not gonna lie, that made me tear up quite a bit because I don't think people realize how important it is. Like, yes, we do want a space where we can collaborate and work with people who look like us. But to have that kind of support in this space is just as important because it gives reason. It also just gives credibility to everything that we're doing. And I love the fact that you discussed how they're open to you being there. They love the fact that you're there and they're welcoming to your presence, even if we still desire these other parts of the moment and the movement. And so I love the fact that you answered. I All these things have happened, but I'm looking forward to the day where even in the future, it won't be just me. So thank you so much for coming on and doing this podcast with me. I have thoroughly, first of all, I have learned quite a bit today. And I also am just so, I don't even have the words to say with listening to your story, but seeing how obedient you were to the voice that led you to this moment is very inspirational. And I think that that's something that many of us we don't lean into enough. Like we hear it, but we don't obey what could possibly be it because of fear
Yeah.
or because of anxiety, and we're second guessing it when our moment is just that. And for you, these moments, the way that they happen, it happened in your place. It was, you were called to do it. The timing of when it happened, for right in between Black History and Women's History Month, for you to be at Rickwood, it literally is just orchestrated for you to be able to share this with us. And I'm so happy that I got a chance to be able to be a place for you to share it. So thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media or in the future games?
Natola Hawthorne, I think is my name on Facebook. You know, or She Calls It All. Both pages are mine. I have so much going on right now. I'll be at Curacao Baseball Week. They invited me to come out there and train umpires. I'll be in Florida for the college championship, training women from the official side for football.
Okay.
Um, God just has me doing so much just to elevate women and push women into this arena. So yeah, follow me on those spaces and keep up because I'm trying to.
We are. I'm sure. Listen, we are. I'm just ecstatic because I'm gonna be following too. So yes, y'all, make sure that you go and you follow her on Facebook at Natola Hawthorne, and also, what did you say? She calls it all.
She calls it all. And there's also a scholarship out there in my name in Jacksonville for a student that's going to a HBCU that's going to be in the sports arena. I'll put that out there as well.
Yes.
So that's another blessing. Whoever thought you have a scholarship in your name. So
Right. I
it's
love that. And I'm going to get with you to make sure that I share it on my platforms as well, because I think that that's wonderful for us to be able to have. And in the meantime, you will be able to catch this, of course, on all streaming platforms: Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Don't forget to check out In the Booth. Also, Finish Your Breakfast with my guy Cheats. Black Baseball Mixtape online with articles, also the comics, and then, of course, the live podcast every Monday night on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I hope that y'all really enjoyed this episode and you got so much goodness from it, because it was truly just the feels, just the whole feels about this. So thank you for sharing your journey. And I just can't wait to see exactly what more comes from this, because I know that it will.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. And as always, y'all, it is a great day to be a baseball and a softball fan. Bye, y'all.